Okay, so I was expecting something at Jump Festa this weekend, but before the streams even started, they surprise dropped the Steel Ball Run anime's first official trailer. And here's live footage of me eating my words from that teaser a few months ago, because holy sh**, this adaptation looks insane. We've got a full 2-minute trailer showing footage throughout the entire first stage of the race, the release date, new voice actors, some very unexpected changes, and new insight into the schedule, so let's get into all of it. Starting with the release date, the metadata leak was in fact correct. The anime will premiere on Netflix on March 19th, 2026, just 3 months away. Although as for weekly or batches, it's speculative. But what we do know is something I never expected, which is a new runtime, with the first episode confirmed to be a 47-minute long special that will cover the entire first stage of the race. That's the first 2 volumes in this first episode, which is insanely fast pacing, but I think could be a good decision all things considered. And I know how much everyone rags on Netflix, and for good reason, but I do think it's cool that the production are actually using the platform to their advantage to do something cool and unique like this. But I assume this longer runtime will only apply to this first stage special, because in the manga, the start of the race really does have this awkward pacing that's pretty fast, but also kind of slow all at the same time. So honestly, better to just throw it all together, trim the fat, and make it this super fast-paced, exciting start of the story, because it is a race after all, and should hook the viewers in episode 1, and then is able to flow into the more familiar structure of JoJo with the weekly villains coming in the standard format. So really exciting to see what they're doing so far. I just hope they don't cut too much, because if they maintain that pace of a volume per episode, the whole adaptation would only be 24 standard episodes. But of course, the early volumes are exception, as the race is going to be way faster paced in animation, and it might even be better for the adaptation to cut some of this long-winded dialogue and the explanations, and through animation they can show us things rather than having the characters explain them. So at the start, expect a lot of cuts or things sped over, but of course cuts have always been a thing with these adaptations. So getting into the trailer now. It's almost like they trolled us with that teaser, because it's the same premise but just so much better in every aspect, which to be fair is what a lot of people were expecting, but comparing them side by side, it's like, oh wow, they really were holding out all of the best shots. I almost wish they just waited and showed us this first for the best first impression, but nonetheless, I'm thrilled. The first shot is Johnny looking up towards the sky, reflecting on why he joined the race, which in the manga flows directly into his backstory, but the trailer continues on with the press conference where we see a wider shot of Steven and Lucy, who I still think look great. Then we see the same shot of the horses on the beach, but now a new look at them close up, which gives us a much better perspective of the scale and intensity to it all. The music is then abruptly interrupted by a shot, and we get a glimpse at Johnny's backstory, where he was shot in the back by the child outside the theater. So Johnny's flashback will still be very early in the story, as I'm gonna assume everything we see in this trailer is gonna be in the first episode. We then follow the original teaser and see this incredible new shot of Gyro in this new style I don't recall ever seen before in the previous parts, where the animation appears to mimic the intense shading and cross-hatching of the original manga to better capture that Part 7 style, which is very clever and I think looks fantastic, almost like a manga drawing is overlaid onto the character. It reminds me a lot of the original panels. I think they struck a wonderful balance here and would love to see more like this. This shot is followed by Gyro throwing his steel ball, but now we have some new sound effects for the spin, which is on point. It's like a high frequency rotation followed by this metal clashing, as well as get to see more shots of Gyro at sundown. He looks so good here, and the spin, which its overall sound effect is this high pitch harmonic hum, very similar to Hamon, calling back to those early seasons, and even the visual effect is calling back to the ripples, as we see these ripples flowing out from the steel ball, as we get a better look at the scene of Johnny actually reaching out to touch it. But now we get to what really blew me away when we see more of the horse racing. And pretty much all of my complaints at first were that the horses felt far away and lacked interesting perspective. But now they're showing us what they've really got in store, with every single shot being this close-up, visceral horse racing experience, where you feel like you're right there alongside the racers. Horses are jumping over the camera, you're at their feet, you're over their shoulders, and there's quite literally zero perceivable 3D CGI on any of this new footage of the riders or horses. It just looks like beautiful hand-drawn animation. So just really incredible stuff here that has me so excited for the future of this adaptation. And something I always loved about the start of Steel Ball Run is that it was this very special moment where it felt like for the first time ever reading a sports manga written by Hirohiko Araki. And a lot of this animation is reminding me of a sports anime, which I hope they lean into for this first stage, enhancing the drama, the takeovers, and the speed of the racers. Just look at these few frames of Diego lightning stepping to another spot, or the shot of Diego passing Gyro, perfectly complemented by the biggest bass boom this side of the Mississippi. And to top it all off, they finally show us other racers, the only other two I wanted to see in the teaser, Poco Loco and Sandman, who have arrived in all of their glory. First seeing Sandman running along the mountains, and we get a close-up of his individual grippers and a better look at his full design when he is signing up for the race, and looks incredibly manga accurate and the perfect color lipstick. Then we see the beloved Poco Loco, who by far looks the most manga accurate out of all of the designs. They really nailed this one and feels like you're seeing manga in motion. But holy moly man, just the color shifts alone in this trailer are next level. Red and purple horses, red Johnny. It's all just so peak. Knowing David Production, I knew underneath all of the doubt that this adaptation would look good, but still wanted to make it a point to temper my expectations and consider the compromises that might need to be made. But this trailer has really shifted that mindset. This is the knock your socks off moment, where I feel like I can just let out a big sigh of relief because this is everything I wanted and more for Steel Ball Run. And one of the biggest surprises was seeing more detail and personality from the horses up close, because I knew this was something that was just literally impossible to do in the anime. When you look at how detailed and expressive Valkyrie, Slow Dancer, and Silver Bullet are in the manga, you can almost discern their emotions from the drawings and makes them feel like these living characters as well. So I was expecting most of that to be lost, with the horses being these more restricted and uniform designs. But seeing shots like this, and Valkyrie being goofy and expressing those emotions is great to see. So other than a few extra racing shots and Gyro whipping a steel ball, that's about the trailer, followed by the voice actors, staff, and that March release date. But we do also have new character profiles for Sandman and Poco Loco. That gives us a good look at their full new character designs and voice actors. But on appearances, colors, details, all good, although Sandman's face looks a lot more feminine than I expected. I know that sounds silly saying, wow, this guy looks feminine in JoJo, but it's just something that stood out, and he didn't even really look like that in the trailer. So voice actors, Poco Loco will be voiced by Kenichiro Masuda, whose notable roles include Taurus from Vinland Saga, Gordon from Black Clover, and Donovan from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. He's back after like 13 years. And Sandman will be voiced by Masaki Mizunaka. Notable roles include Hayato from Cafe Terrace, Sion from Wistoria, and Baji from Tokyo Revengers. I don't know any of these, but assume he'll be great based on what I heard in the trailer. So coming back to that release date, at the end screen, it's specifically saying that the first stage is coming March 19th to Netflix, and will be a 1-episode, 47-minute special. The word special, I assume, means it's a one-time thing, or not the ordinary. So if we were getting a batch release, it would be kind of strange to really hype up this special as the first stage, but then be like, oh yeah, you're also getting the second stage on the same day. It would just be bad marketing. So I think on March 19th, we're just getting this episode. So does that mean we naturally go into a weekly schedule with the more standard 24-minute runtime? I think that would make sense to me, and while I'm open to maybe larger episodes, we saw that with Pluto and it worked pretty well, they've spent the last 10 years really nailing the pacing of stand battles, so I'd hate to see them lose the magic. It's really all up in the air, but we still do have Jump Fested this weekend with the Steel Ball Run panel, so we're more than likely going to get some more details about the adaptation there, and it's coming out so soon in just a couple of months. I just want them to tell us as much as possible and not have a batch surprise on the day it premieres. But guys, the Steel Ball Run we all wanted is finally coming. So let me know what your thoughts on the trailer were down below, and I'll talk to you guys all real soon in a new video. Like if you enjoyed and you're hyped for this anime, and subscribe for more. Jump Festa, of course, bunch of stuff coming soon.